Final Fantasy XIV. This game is currently one of the most popular MMOs in the world right now, resting upon the hearts of many. In this series, I go on a journey to find out what makes this game so special. If you've never heard of Final Fantasy XIV, I've got you covered. Final Fantasy XIV is a sprawling online adventure where thousands of players set out to conquer a vast world teeming with fierce monsters, powerful magic, and alluring myths. Pretty big explanation if you ask me. I'll be attempting to fully conquer this game as a complete beginner and have my name remembered across its slays. So, relax, cozy up, and join me as I attempt to conquer the world of Final Fantasy XIV. Our journey begins with the creation of our character. This part takes ages, but with the power of editing magic, it only takes seconds. We choose a Catman and make him look like the fire guy from Sky High for some reason. I promise it wasn't intentional, it just somehow ended up that way. It's time for us to pick a class, and we notice that there's no DPS Knight characters, so we end up picking a Lancer because it reminds me of the Gladiator from For Honor. Not long after, we wrap up and begin our journey. New Gridania, the first of 3 major cities in Eorza. A few seconds in, and it's not hard to tell that the city is home to elves. With its forested landscape and cozy feeling, I see this being home to many. On our way in, we are greeted by a town guard who notices a new face, and as part of an introduction, he volunteers to guide us through basic movements and gives us some information on where we would end up living. He points us in the direction of the Carline Canopy, the headquarters for the local Adventurers Guild. We're told to talk to Mother Mion as she'll take us in and further introduce us to New Gridania. We accept our first quest and make our way over to the guild hall to talk to Mother Mion. She gives us 3 tasks to start with. First, she wants us to attune to the Aetheryte as they serve as fast travel in this game. Second, she wants us to visit the Lancers Guild and learn more about our class. And our third and final task is to visit the market, so that we can stock up on useful items. She tells us to talk to the Master Merchant, but not before giving him one of her pies, since he tends to get cranky when he's hungry. We accept the quest and head to the crystal in the center of town. We attune with it and make our way to the market. On our way there, we attune with our first Aethernet shard. We walk into the market and find the Master Merchant. After receiving his pie, he gives us some basic information about the market. We look through the stalls, and on our way out, we get a good look at what to expect from female characters in this game. I blame games like this for my taste in women. They know what they're doing. After our little detour, we make our way to the Lancers Guild and talk to Jillian, the receptionist. She gives us some information about the guild and what it means to be a Lancer. After, we start heading over to the canopy so that we can complete our quest with Mother Mion. We complete our quest and come to find out that we aren't a high enough level to continue with the MSQ. We decide to head over to the Lancers Guild and progress with their quests, but on the way we see something that distracts us. We finally reach the Lancers Guild and are introduced with the Guildmaster. He takes us under his wing and gives us our first task. We set off to slay 3 types of creatures, those being squirrels, ladybugs, and forest fungi. We finish our quest, but we are once again locked out of questing due to our level. We decided to try out the newly acquired hunting log. The hunting log rewards you with experience whenever you slay a certain amount of monsters. The higher the designated monster level, the more experience you receive. We go crazy and fill as many entries as possible. It didn't matter what it was. If it was in the log, it was slayed. We do this until we reach level 9. It's a nice feature to have. Most other games have a lot of boring filler content between quests, but because of the hunting log, I was able to become familiar with the area. It's a fun way to get experience in between quests. We return home, and we come across Snow White. The character looked super spot on. Now that we're level 9, we decide to run to the Lancers Guild for a new quest. We get tasked with summoning and slaying some enemies by the riverbank. We use a foul-smelling bait at the designated areas, and seconds later, the monsters spawn. We finish up and report back to the guild leader. He acknowledges our accomplishment and sends us to an area called the Broken Pillars for another task. He wants us to slay 3 more monsters, one of them being a giant toad. Once we are done, we head back to the guild to turn in our quest. We speak with the receptionist, but not long after we hear a commotion. We investigate and see that there is a dark elf creating conflict within the guild. He tries to challenge the guildmaster, but does not succeed. He notices us and tries to challenge us as well. We have no reaction and he withdraws. We speak with the Guildmaster, and he sends us on our next quest. We head to obtain the Stone of Courage in an area named Naked Rock. We find the stone, but not long after, the same dark elf that was causing havoc in the Lancers Guild approaches us. He introduces himself and says that we have promise. He tells us that he moved the Stone of Courage to a more challenging area. We of course set out to find it regardless of the danger that awaits. We traverse through the spirit hold until we finally find the stone, turning right back around and headed back to the Lancers Guild. After speaking with the Guildmaster, we catch up on the Lancers quest and decide to continue with the MSQ. We return to the Carline Canopy and speak with Mother Mion. She tells us to speak to Galfred at the Bannock. We find him and he asks for our help investigating enemy activity at the Life Men Stump. We head over and find a blade stuck on the tree. We interact with it and get introduced to 3 new characters. One of those 3 characters is the Moogle from the beginning, and he vouches for us saying that we're one of the good guys. Not long after, the force starts to come to life. We team up and make quick work of the elms. After the dust settles, we find a crystal on the floor. We pick it up, but start having visions immediately after. We faint and get woken up by the strangers. They check up on us, and soon after they say their goodbyes. It's not hard to tell that they'll be a vital part of the story. We pull the blade from the stump and take it back to Galfred. We report back to him, and he tasks us with getting 3 egg sacs from giant flies. We turn those in and get our next quest. We are tasked with recovering a surveyor's lost equipment. It seems she got spooked and dropped everything as she was running away. We make our way to the area and look for all of her lost equipment. After recovering all of her items, we meet up with her at the Bower. We return her items, and she asks us if we can help thin the monster population in Naked Rock as its growth is becoming a problem. She requests that after we do, we bring her back one of their eggs. Sounds easy enough. We head over to Naked Rock and do exactly that. After thinning the local monster population, we snag an egg and make a run for it. I feel kind of bad for those guys. They were just living life, and an omnipotent catman wipes out half their population, stealing the future of their bloodline in the process. But hey, in the name of conquest, right? We report back to the surveyor. She tells us to deliver the egg to one of the guards back at the Bannock. We do just that, and after the quest is complete, we accept our next one from Galfred. In the meantime, we decide to take a break and fill in more of our hunting log for levels before progressing with any storyline. We end up going crazy and slaying a little bit too much. This must have gone for about 40 minutes real time. Afterwards, we decide to run and attune to some aetherites, making fast travel easier in the long run. We attune to 3 total, giving us more options when it comes to travel. We return to the Lancers Guild since we are now the required level for our next assignment. We are tasked with finding and speaking with the Dark Elf that holds a grudge against the Lancers Guild. He has kidnapped one of the students and won't set him free until we complete his trials. We are tasked with using a potion on some exposed roots, causing an angered elm to spawn. We make quick work of him and return to the elf. We speak with him, and he then wants us to challenge a pack of wolves, slaying the alpha once he makes his appearance known. We head to our destination and begin the fight. We clear a path towards the alpha and focus our attacks on him. After a short fight, the alpha wolf goes down, allowing us to finish off the remaining wolves. We succeed and speak with the Dark Elf. He tries to convince us into leaving the Lancers Guild and have him be our teacher. We refuse, and he walks away. After making our way back to the Lancers Guild, we speak with the Guildmaster and tell him his student is back to safety. We complete the quest and learn Piercing Talon, our first ranged attack. Being caught up with the Lancer storyline, we decide to proceed with the MSQ. We're tasked with aiding wounded soldiers at the Spirit Hold. After making our way deeper into the Spirit Hold, we recover and get them all back to safety. We recover the last of the wounded, and while doing so, a dark masked man summons a clay golem to defeat us. We take up the fight and start to run circles around the golem. We dodge most of his moves, and at the end we emerge victorious. We report back and tell Aliston about the masked mage. He says he'll keep an eye out and that Mother Mion is waiting for us back in New Gridania. After finding our way back into town, we speak with Mother Mion and she tells us we've made her proud. We finish up our quest and talk to the smith. He grants us access to the Hall of Novice. We complete all of its trials, earning new armor and a ring that boosts our XP gain by 30% until level 30. We report back to Mother Mion and she tells us to introduce ourselves to the head Chocobo Wrangler. She sends us to talk to Rosalind, a guard stationed by the giant tree root. We speak with her, and she says she needs us to thin the monster population in the area since they've been going around murdering chocobos. We head over to their camp and do just that. After slaying the required amount of enemies, we head back to Rosalind and inform her that things have been taken care of. She applauds us on a job well done and tells us she needs us to collect some blue trumpets and give them to the guard atop the giant root. We collect them all and speak with the guard. He thanks us and asks us to deliver a message to Rosalind on his behalf. They are on the lookout for a dark figure and tell us to go investigate an area where they think he was hiding out. We investigate and find a worn leather bag. We pick it up and take it back to Rosalind. She says it belongs to the person that's been messing with the chocobo. She then has us inform all of the guards in the area so that they can keep an eye out for anything suspicious. We do exactly that, speaking with as many guards as we can find. In the end, we speak to a guard, and he says he needs our help slaying some vultures in the nearby area. We accept and seek out the vultures. We make quick work of them once again and report back to his superior. He asks us to remind one of his researchers that she has other tasks to tend to, as she seems to forget about everything else when she's working. We find her, and she tells us that all of her tasks are complete. We turn in our quest, and are tasked with finding and retrieving items from a carriage that was attacked by monsters on the way into town. We find the wagon and defeat the monster that was guarding it. We recover the items and return to town. On our way, we have a rather peculiar interaction with a certain someone. We find young Sheldon Cooper enjoying the scenery. We ask for a picture and an autograph and go turn in our quest. Afterwards, we go speak with the stable hand that tells us that the egg he was looking after has suddenly gone missing. He asks us to find it and bring it back. We accept the quest, and along the way we stop at the Lancers Guild to accept our next quest. We are tasked with sparring and defeating some of our fellow students. We do so, and right as we finish up, the Dark Elf shows up. He comes to express his hatred towards the guild. The guildmaster asks him why he hates the guild so much, and in the process, challenges him. He tells him to compete with us and defeat the Lord of Bramble Patch. For the Lord to even consider showing up, we have to offer him the bloody tusks of his subjects. We set out and hunt down boars for their tusks. We get enough and head to the destination to set up the offering. We set out the tusks, and not long after the Lord makes his appearance. We battle, but eventually the Dark Elf thinks he can take on the battle by himself. He charges at the Lord, but is quickly humbled. He gets knocked down, and we step in to protect him. Not long after, the guildmaster shows up and tells the Lord to stand down. It seems that the Lord and the guildmaster are old friends. The Lord listens and leaves. The Dark Elf becomes embarrassed, and not long after, enraged. The guildmaster calls him weak, and that causes him to storm off. We think of going after him, but the guildmaster tells us to leave him be. He tells us our work is done and to return to the guild where he will be waiting for us. On our way to the guild, we continue with the MSQ. We speak to the guards in the area to see if they know anything about the person who stole the chocobo egg. Fortunately, after telling the chocobo stable hand everything we've learned so far, he can make a guess on who stole the egg. He says it was probably someone from his hometown and gives us a location on where he thinks we can find the thief. We head there and find a lonely Moogle that seems to be safeguarding our chocobo egg. We try to speak with him, but in the process we get attacked by the thief himself. We get into a battle that results in us emerging victorious and the thief not having the privilege to live another day. We speak with the Moogle, and he tells us that he was sleeping by the stable when he woke up to the thief trying to take the egg. Seeing that, he takes the egg and runs away in an attempt to keep the egg safe. We head back and do exactly that. Once done, we head to the Lancers Guild and turn in our quest. We continue with the MSQ and talk to Mother Mion. We deliver a letter from the chocobo breeder, and she goes into shock. She tells us to make preparations and come back to speak with her. We don't take that advice, and instead decide to work on unlocking the botany skill. Gathering is fun in most games, so I wanted to give it a try. It's important not to become burnt out. We head to the Botanist Guild and speak with the receptionist. He greets us and tells us to go outside and speak with the guildmaster. We walk out and find her. After talking to her, we unlock the botanist class and put on some clothes that better suit our botanist needs. The guildmaster asks that we bring her back some pots of latex. She tells us where to find it, and we head over. We find a tree and are introduced to this game's gathering system. It's cool that you can choose what to harvest, and can also see how likely you are to harvest that item. Very different compared to other MMOs I've played. We grab all the latex we need and head back to the guildmaster. We turn in our latex and she inspects it. She tells us we did a good job and sends us on our way. We head back to Mother Mion and tell her we're ready to continue with our quest. She informs us that there are enemies plotting a strike against the guardian tree. She tells us to speak with the head of the Archer Guild and ask him to aid us in an attempt to stop the enemy. Doing just that, we head to the Archer Guild and speak with the guildmaster. We catch him up on everything that's been happening, and he agrees to help us. We head out immediately and meet him at the guardian tree. We sneak up on the enemy and coordinate a strike. Not long after, we get into position and surprise the enemy. We battle it out and start thinning their numbers one by one. Eventually, only the chieftain was left, and it didn't take long until he was defeated. As we get ready to leave, another masked man shows up and begins to summon something crazy. I've got to give it to the devs. They did a great job when it comes to character design. I can't tell if I'm more impressed than terrified. This guy looks like he can rip us in half. I'm just kidding. This guy didn't stand a chance. He might look scary, but he won't be crazy. You've got to be crazy to challenge a guy like this. After he's defeated, our mysterious friends show up to aid us in the fight against the masked man. With all three of us focusing our attacks on him, it doesn't take long until he is also defeated. After a fight, we report back to the guildmaster and he tells us we did a great job. While in the middle of conversation, the Elder Seed Seer enters the room. Everyone bows and we stand there looking lost. We bow for no one. She asks us to serve as an emissary in the upcoming Green Bliss ceremony. Everyone looks shocked while we have no reaction towards it. We accept and she leaves the room. We speak with the guildmaster and he tells us to hurry, as the ceremony cannot begin without the emissary. We deliver the news to Mother Mion and she's delighted to see us. She tells us to go to the Carpenter Guildmaster and pick up a mask that we are to use as an emissary. We do exactly that, speaking with him and taking the mask back to Mother Mion. She tells us it's beautiful and that the guildmaster outdid himself. We agree and she tells us where to go for the ceremony since it's starting soon. We make our way to the location and meet up with the Elder Seed Seer. The ceremony starts and everybody quiets down. We walk towards the stage together and see all of our friends cheering us on. We even see our friendly Mugo there. It's great to see how far we've come in the short time that we've been an adventurer. We reach the stage and the Elder Seed Seer proceeds to sprinkle some fairy dust on everyone. Everyone cheers and we look happy. The Elder Seer looks at us and sees a light within us. She asks about it and we show her the blue crystal we collected earlier. She tells us that the crystal has chosen us and that if we trust its guiding light, everything will be revealed in good time. She tells us that we are destined to do great things for the realm, as the power of the echo resides in us. I don't know about you, but every situation that has a so-called chosen one never goes well. Cough, cough, Anakin. That concludes the first act of our story. I've had a great experience so far, and can't wait to see where the story goes next. I got 2 more parts planned for the series if anyone's interested in seeing them. This is a game that I genuinely enjoyed playing, so I wouldn't mind playing some more. I have more projects planned that don't necessarily involve this game, but if you guys want more, I won't hesitate to come back. If you made it this far, sincerely, thank you for watching. It means a lot to me. My name is Vici, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.